Next up, informative data, size data and ergonomics. Two quite big topics, to be honest with you. Let's start with size data. What is it exactly? Size data is the size of things, size of things which are going to interact or be part of, be an integral part of your product. For example, last year there was a boy who made a dog feeder, okay, and it fed his dog at 12-hour intervals, I think it was. Now, of course, one thing that's really important about that is how big is the dog bowl? Because if you don't know how big the dog bowl is, you've got no idea how big the spread could be of the dog food as it falls, for example. And so it's existing products which are going to be interacting with your final product. I would suggest you could also include different electrical components in that. For example, switches are existing components, or you might want to include some 7-segment displays. I wouldn't go down and start looking at buzzers and bits and pieces, but I definitely think that the inputs which are going to be located on the outside of your product and the outputs are absolutely viable to include in size data, because they're going to influence how big your final product is going to be, and especially like the display or the control panel. Right, so that gives you a bit of size data, and it'd be good if there is one thing like a dog bowl and there's a couple of electrical components. That'd be really good if there is a mix of different products. The other thing, of course, is ergonomics and anthropometrics. And so let's just... what I would do, by the way, with this page is I would split it down the middle. I would probably have ergonomics and anthropometrics on the left-hand side, and I'll have a little bit of size data on the right-hand side. Okay? So there's two things. There's ergonomics, which is the interaction of a product with a person. So is it ergonomic? Is it comfortable to sit on? Does it keep a person at the right height so they can stay attentive when working at a desk? Opposed to something which is at a much lower height, like your sofa, for example, which helps them to relax. So we've got the ergonomics, and then we've got the anthropometrics. Now, the anthropometrics is the measurement and the record, so it's that secondary data of the human form. And we've got many books that have pictures of hands, for example, and people, and it will give you the spread between the 5th and 95th percentile of those between the ages. Oh, it's that beautiful bell. It'll give you the spread of the 5th to the 95th percentile of people between the ages of like 18 to, I don't know, let's say 70. And that's the majority of the people, of course, living in the country. You don't necessarily go for these below 5% or above 95%, because those people could be exceptionally big or exceptionally small, and we don't really cater for those too much. We're making a product commercially viable, but we have to, of course, if we're making a one-off product. All right. So what would I expect for ergonomics? I'd expect you to identify part of the body which interacts with the product. For example, a hand, a finger might be good. It may be your eyes or your head. That may be something that you could look into, and then include a picture from the anthropometric book, but also have a look at getting a picture of your client, for example, their hand. Let's have a look at this then. Let's have a look at what's being produced. Right. Just thought I'd crack my screen then. Size data and ergonomics, what have we got here? We have the anthropometric data down the bottom, and he has circled the areas that he's very interested in looking at. For example, the fingertips and the knuckle. He's done exactly the same here. He's identified the data that he wants to take forward, and I'm sure what he's done is he's included that within his summary, and he's told me why exactly it's important. It's good to see a nice introduction, a little talk about anthropometrics, and a little discussion about ergonomics. And so we've got a lot of information here, which is summed up within the potential specification points, which, of course, need to go forward into your specification. He's also included a little bit of size data, and that size data is his phone, because I presume that has something to do with his product, and also a glass and coffee cup here. All right, so we can see we've got a bit of size data, we've got a bit of ergonomics, anthropometrics ergonomics, with a good summary, with good introduction, a good summary. I hope that makes sense. As always, if not, talk to Mr. Vaughan or myself. The deadline, last week of term, 3rd of July. Okay, remember introduction, remember summary, include anthropometric images, done that. Pictures of client, done that. Images of associated products, done that. And of course, lots of dimensions. Okay, hope that helps.